Hi, thanks for staying with us. Now, chasing passions and following dreams is becoming the norm as people begin to move away from traditional 9 to 5 towards the goal of doing what they love. When a person starts a company, the plan is not to work until they die. The plan is to build a business that would always provide financially for them and their families even after they're long gone. Small businesses are the backbone of our economy. Unfortunately, too many entrepreneurs fail to properly plan their exit strategy from day one, inhibiting them from creating the underlying foundation, systems, and structures needed to build a business that will actually be sellable. Now, do you believe there's a possibility of turning your passion into income? And what does it really take to run a sustainable and scalable business? Please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. So I'll just hear your thoughts in like a minute, ladies. You know, what do you think it takes to build a sustainable business? Because I want to bring in Joycee.
Sustainable businesses. I think that there's not a lot of thought in terms of how we go into business here. Okay. I think most people, the motivation for going into business is one, I'm tired of working for somebody, or I don't want to work for someone. Or there's money in that business, so I'm going to do it.
It's looking good.
It's looking good, you know. There's a new, people are making money, so let's go that way. It's less people who actually follow passion into business. So I think that for me, it's that entry point that sort of, and then there's a lack of knowledge as well, how to start a business, run a business, build a business. And we've always said doing business in Nigeria is an extreme sport. So the environment doesn't also help you, but sustainability takes a level of deliberateness. You have to think about it. You have to be looking at where you want to go, have a vision. So many people in business, not sure where they're going, just gonna make the next buck. So for me, that's the key thing, is understanding why you're there. What is the problem? I always ask people, what's the job to be done of your customer? What is the problem that you're trying to fix? If you can find a good enough problem with a good enough solution, you'll be in business sustainably.
Okay. Elsie, how about you? What do you think?
I agree with all she said. And I think that, like she said, people just go into this business. Maybe they see that Uti is selling XYZ and she's making money then. Let me also sell XYZ and make money. And some of them are just decisions that are based off of, I don't want to, let me give you a typical example. Somebody sent me a message today and said, oh, I need your help. I said, okay, so what's the help? It's not like I have help to give you, but let me hear the help first. I said, oh, want to build a fintech app, and we see what you guys are doing, so we want to see how to get that. So how much is it going to cost, blah, blah, blah. So the questions they were asking, as far as I'm concerned, were not the right questions. And I was just laughing because I didn't even have the energy to maintain that conversation. I said, you know what, I will respond to you people later. So it is because a lot of people are already in that space, and you think, oh, you're seeing X amount of money raised and all, then you want to also get into that space. But there's something you said when you were introducing the topic, which is about moving away from the traditional 9 to 5 and going to passion. There are people that their passion is inside that 9 to 5.
I like that.
You don't have to leave your traditional 9 to 5 before you fulfill your passion in life. But please let our guests have this here.
So, Joycee Awosika is an award-winning entrepreneur, energy economist, and a speaker. She has a history of running companies, mainly ORIKI, the first and only all-natural farm-to-skin brand to operate a fast-growing premium product and wellness spa brand. In conjunction, ORIKI has developed 7 spas in 6 years, distributes products globally, runs a premium training institute, and operates the ORIKI franchise. Her work has been featured in several global publications, including CNBC, The Huffington Post, Ebony Magazine, The Guardian. She has built a reputation for her expertise in creating structures for businesses and homes, and provides standard operating procedures and templates through her platform SOAR. And she's joined us live in studio. Thank you so much, Joycee. It's so interesting that the conversation is a square peg in a square hole, because you are all about structure, sustainability, and all of that. So thank you so much for coming.
And I need a massage.
You got you covered. Thank you. You know, so I like what Elsie talked about, because I remember when we had Ezekiel Shulesi on Friday last week, he was saying that a lot of times people have been pumped with the idea that you must be an entrepreneur for you to be able to gain financial freedom, because that was what we talked about, financial freedom. And he made mention of the fact that within that 9 to 5, you can actually, right, find that financial freedom, as especially if you understand what you're doing and you know why you're doing what it is that you're doing. All right, so over time, I have learned that people that are passionate about things, they don't really make a huge success out of that passion. You know, I've seen that happen several times. Yes, I'm passionate about it. I'm putting in all the energy. They forget the money part. They forget that this thing needs to be successful. It needs to be sustainable. And, you know, it needs to grow. It needs to be built on proper structures. And this is a common mistake I see all the time. And it kept me wondering, is it that the passion is wrong, or is it the what exactly is the problem? Why don't we see more businesses, you know, that was passion driven be successful? Yeah.
It's such a good question. I see it a lot in this terrain and in general. And for me, what I notice is that a lack of planning leads to failure. So what happens is people get into it, right? You get into your passion, okay, you want to sell hair, you're like everyone's selling hair, you want to start a Me Too business, everyone's doing it, I can make money too. But you haven't created a plan for who's your customer? Why is your business any different than the next person? What's your USP? You just get into the business and start running. But you have to be intentional about the long-term strategy, the short-term strategy, the risks, the weaknesses, the strengths, in order to actually succeed. So I find that a lot here, that it's a lack of planning. And people have been sold an idea that, you know, business planning isn't necessary. You know, there's this whole thing about, oh, it's just an arduous document, it's not needed, it's too much, let me just get into it. But you'll quickly realize that without planning, you will fail. You know, and failure also, it's a sustainability that leads to success, right? How sustainable is your business? There are a lot of businesses and industries that are doing extremely well. Saturated industries, people are still going into them, but they have found their USP, they have found their customer, and they've been able to thrive on that.
So, you know, when you mentioned sustainability, I was just thinking, is it all passion that can be sustained and scalable? Is it possible that you have a particular passion, and is it every passion that somebody has that you can scale? Because at some point you need to just drop the passion, right? What do you think?
I think it goes back to what Uti was saying, right? It's about, what problem are you solving? Yeah, so you have a passion to provide juice, you know, to people. You want to take juice from the farm and sell it. But what problem are you solving? Like, how big of a market do you have, right? Are you selling in just your community? And if so, how many juices is your customer going to buy a day or a week? Again, let's do the math, let's do the numbers. Is your plan to scale it to the next community? Do you want to bring out new flavors? So there are passions that can actually, people succeed all the time with their passions, but I honestly think it still goes beyond just starting a business and running with it. It actually requires intentionality. How do you want to scale? How do you want to grow? What's the 3 months, 6 months, 1 year going to say? You know, so for us at ORIKI, for example, we found out quickly that I only wanted to do one spa, honestly, because my idea was the products. We started off as natural skincare products using ingredients sourced from Africa. That was my dream, to compete with the body shops around the world. But we started the spa as a marketing strategy to get people into the doors,
so that they
engaging with the products and becoming to love. And then we could not keep up with the demand of the spa. So naturally it's like, okay, so what do you do? You know, people are saying we're fully booked, so what do you do? So we look for another location to get more people to come in. Would it be down the street? No. Why don't we go to another community? We did the numbers, we looked at the population, we looked at the people who were there, and we went there. And now we've built 7 spas in 6 years and still can't keep up with demand. That's our strategy. No other spa has had that strategy in Nigeria, right? So I chose a USP. My unique selling point is we're going to go to a community near you, and we're going to stick to wellness and day spas. But you see people coming in and saying, oh, there's money, fully booked. Well, they don't know the back work that needs to be done, the story that needs to be done to actually take it to the next level.
Wow.
So, you know, it's interesting how the thing about always finding a niche or solving a problem, the money will always follow. A lot of people I find today in the 9 to 5, their dream, so few people actually are like, I'm in 9 to 5 for the, hey, I'm a 9 to 5er. The pride here is, this is the thing I'm doing till I go do something else. For those people who are thinking, I'm so passionate and I really want to go do this, what are the, I don't even want to say it's a paint by numbers steps, but what should I be thinking about? Because you've already touched a couple of things on the planning, on all of that, but if somebody was watching the show now and thinking, what do I do next? What would be your thoughts?
Right. So I believe that writing down an actual problem or desire, first of all, creating a mission and a vision for your brand. And I know these words, they sound like just buzzwords that we use, but it's actually really real. I've seen my company grow when my team understands the mission and the vision. So every time they're coming to work and they're showing up, because you need people to be able to build your business, even if it's one employee you're starting with. What is the ultimate mission and vision? Do we want to be the most trusted juice seller in XYZ? Do we want to be the best spot? You know, what is the mission and vision? It's very important to write it down to make it plain. And then on top of that, of course, I mentioned the planning. You can't get away from it. You know what I mean? Determining what the strengths, weaknesses, and knowing who your competitors are. So I say this for a lot of 9-to-5ers because I was in 9-to-5 when I started my business. I created the entire business plan, information memorandum, secured a grant while I was working in the Ministry of Power. And I wrote down, I had my numbers down packed, I had my ideas down packed, I knew who my competitors were. At the time, I knew which spa had 3 locations, you know, which products were doing really well in the natural space. I think planning is very, very key. When you write it down, you can run with it, you know what I mean? And then you can also you can get people to buy into your vision. So I always say, imagine I'm in an elevator at work, which is what happened. You know, I'm talking to someone like, what do you really want to do? You're not going to be in the Ministry of Power forever. And I say it, and they say, how can I help you? Show me what you have. And that week, I submitted my document. And that was, you know, what became the next step and the next step.
Okay.
So, ready?
So hearing you speak, it's easy to think, oh, you got into the business because you had plans, you had it well thought out, you were strategizing, then just easy, right? So I want you to just take it back a bit and talk about the peculiar terrain that is Nigeria. And how you have
She goes.
and how you have been able to navigate it to get to this point. Like you said, it started from one spot, and the idea wasn't exactly to just have 7, right? It was just, let's get people into the door. In doing that from that very spot, how did that work out for you, and how did you jump through the hurdles?
That's a really good question, because the truth is, like I said, we wrote a plan, but we detoured, we changed, we added on, we made amendments. Honestly, this terrain is a difficult and interesting terrain. I always tell the story that my first location that I wanted to have, the landlord gave me the most difficult time, like simple issues. You want to make a payment for a space, and he was so difficult, and he just believed that it's not possible that a woman would want to be doing this kind of business. There must be some type of ulterior motive. So that was my first battle, dealing with someone who was trying to block or didn't believe in what I was trying to do, and I just wanted to rent a space. So for me, it's been a number of challenges, but what I realized over the years is that my business tells me the next steps to take. It's just how it is. My business tells me. So if I came out, if I was selling hair. I actually had a hair business when I was working for the Ministry of Power, and that was my side hustle, and that was just something that I did. But I did it very differently. I wanted to make women feel a certain way. I spoke to their pain points during that issue. Made sure I named all of the hair. You know, this was 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And so my business told me what was next, right? Even in ORIKI, what's next? Customers desire to be able to book online. And next thing you know, we found a platform that would allow us to book online, and we saw sales skyrocket overnight. Customers desire to gift people with something. So gift the relaxation. And next thing you know, gift cards became a big deal. These were not in the business plan in the beginning. But you listen and you watch your customers, and you just keep going back to solving problems, and you will be sure to be sustainable.
Okay, you know what? Let's just go in and out. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Oh wow, so if you just tuned in, we're having an amazing chat with Joycee Awosika on Passion to Income, running a sustainable and scalable business. Please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. All right, so there's a normal myth that they say that businesses, you have to have like what's that word, the wait period before you start to break through as a business. Was that what happened in your case? Because usually they say after the first 5 years, if the business is able to sustain itself after the first 5 years, there's every likelihood that business will succeed. You know, is that a true summation of the reality of businesses? And how was it like for you?
I mean, I think statistically, globally, when you can make it to the 5-year mark, you definitely have a higher chance of making it. But of course, there's so many factors, risk factors, market risk. Nigeria, we're dealing with all types of, different policies that can just spring up or whatnot. So I have found in our case that absolutely, the more years have come, we're now 6 years old, the more we have cemented our place in the marketplace, and the more we've been able to rise as marketplace leader in our space. However, it just depends on the industry as well, because there was a waiting period. To break even, to make profit, took some time. We put a lot of funding into inventory and products, and people had to come into the building to be able to buy that. Mm-hmm. And even at the 3-year mark, I wasn't too sure yet, because I still wasn't 100% sure that the model made sense and whatnot. So it took some time. But I would say businesses like the tech industry or whatnot, in different industries, you can hit home, you can hit big much quicker. So it also goes back to, once again, the industry that you're in and the planning you have, right? If you're solving a problem that's really needed and that is also more of a market, a mass market type problem, you have a more likelihood to hit big.
Yeah.
And do big.
You want to come in?
No,
Okay.
so I mean, it was just like when you were speaking earlier, I was talking about
Customer.
so I'm a customer experience person.
Okay.
So when you were speaking, I was like, oh, Joy, just say it loud. Say it loud. Customer experience will always find you. So when you start talking about your
That the
business
customer,
telling you what it is,
Mm-hmm.
it's just customer experience in motion. I like to tell people, because it's not a relatable thing, that if you listen to your customer and you're thinking about the end-to-end, like the customer journey. So it's not just about when they walk into the door. What brought them in the door? What were they thinking about before they came in? And then you can find the next thing that your business can go to, and you make money. So thank you for endorsing my white space.
Okay, so while on that endorsement, I was going to ask, because a lot of people do multi-passion. They're not just, it's not singular. I don't have one thing that I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
So how are you able to identify which would be, sustainable and can be converted into income? For you, you are very multi-passion. Yeah, so how were you able to narrow that?
Should you follow every passion?
I mean, I run multiple businesses, and I am multi-passionate. But then again, I spend the most time where
The
I
income
see
is
the
coming
most
from.
potential.
Yeah.
I have to prioritize my time. There's only 24 hours in a day. I also believe in building teams around myself, right? So I'm not operational in the spa at all. I don't have to go to the spa at all. It works, it runs. I can not be there for a month, they're fine. I built a team around there. So it also frees up my time a little bit to be able to work on strategy and whatnot. And then I can move into work on other businesses. But for me, I think it's a matter of just prioritizing where the flow is coming from, right? And deciding now, if someone has a huge amount of savings to sit upon and they want to pursue something that isn't really going to bring in the income right away, then that's fine. They have a winning. But some of us need, to be bringing the money. And so you pursue exactly where you feel like the most potential is and where you can be most successful.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think in turning passion into income, because I see why is focused on that passion, right?
Passion.
You also need funding to be able to turn passion to income to a large extent. So how would you say you're able to navigate that line as well, and what would you advise people to do?
I mean, it's a good question. The funding question always comes up, right? And the thing is, I have found there is funding out there. There is. But you have to position yourself to receive it. So a lot of times people are saying there's no funding. And it's like, what work have you done to go out there and seek the funding? Like I said before, if you were given an opportunity to pitch your idea to someone, are you ready? Do you have the documentation? Can you show what you're doing? So I feel like a lot of people focus on that, but I am of the school of thought of prepare yourself first and then go into it. So I had no funding for it besides my savings when I created the business plan. But as things occurred, I started speaking to people about it, and they wanted to know more. And then next thing you know, I received a grant, right? So there's things out there. There's Tony Lumley Foundation. There's all types of grants. There's ORIKI has gotten 3 grants in the last year, and it's our 6-year mark. There's funding out there, but you honestly have to be able to be prepared for it.
Okay. You help a lot of businesses. sustainable, to build their scalability and sustainability for them. So what are first of all, the common mistakes you see amongst these businesses, and how have you been able to help move them from point A to point B?
Okay, so I would say my number one issue that I've seen with businesses is that they want to create legacy businesses. So you talk about how I don't want to be a part of I want to be able to be free from the business as an entrepreneur. I want to be able to have my staff listen to me and do what they're supposed to do and not have to be so saddled. I feel like I'm the one doing everything. So they want to build a legacy business, but no legacy documentation. I know I keep coming back to this, but the truth of the matter is that imagine building a team and all you're doing is barking instructions every day, but there's no guide. So I'm going to talk about some of the terms. Standard operating procedures. I'm resuming at a job and I'm working for a small business owner. What does she expect me to be doing every day? What is my JD? These little things. What are my KPIs? What are my key performance indicators? How do I know if I'm doing well or not? What's the script you want your customer service officer? You'd be surprised, they don't have it. They just complain that the staff are not, functional, they're not working well, they're not optimizing their time, but then there's no. So that's one, legacy documentation. Also, simple things like selling the mission and the vision. The business owner themselves doesn't know what their overall arching mission and vision is. So we work a lot on what are those things, what are you sharing with your staff? Are you building a tribe? You need help around you, right? Or do you have things like an employee handbook? It sounds very minimal, but these things are very important when someone works for you. Otherwise, you'll see people come in and come right out because they don't get the vision, they don't understand, they're not well equipped, they're not empowered to succeed. You have to empower your team to succeed. So I find that a lot as well. And then of course, the lack of focus on, the customer as well, right? So solving the customer's problems, articulating what they are, getting in front of their problems, being a solution provider as well. And that also requires documentation as well. I'm planning for that.
It's a problem because almost all these things, Joycee, that you just mentioned, most businesses do not have it.
And they're
very basic to have, really.
Yeah.
So when you talk about building teams, because I really connect with that conversation around a lot of CEOs and entrepreneurs will tell you, I'm so operational, and I haven't got time for the strategics of my business isn't growing. So when, if there's an entrepreneur out there who's trying to put together a team, what should be the focus? Is there a start with a PA or start with a business manager, or where should I put my focus?
Very good question. I always believe in starting with someone admin, someone that's going to come right alongside you and you're downloading things to them, right? So I started with an admin person because by the time I was creating standard operating procedures for the staff that were to come, they weren't hired yet. She then took on that responsibility. She then started creating the SOPs and the JDs and whatnot. I always think it's very, very important. So even if that person doubles, let's say if it's like a small fashion boutique or something, as a customer service rep or the person the customer meets, they still need to have some type of administrative. So if you call them assistant, PA, EA, so that they can be downloading directly from you. What you said is so apt. Entrepreneurs are so stuck in the operations. Don't get me wrong, that was me for the first 2 years of the business, and maybe even longer in some aspects. Like I still held on to finances for a while. Certain things were still revolved. But the longer you do that, the less time you'll have to do strategy. How will you even have brain power to do expansion, scaling, growth, thinking about different unique ways? You can't. More of the mental work needs to be, if you're not doing it, no one else can do it. So the quicker you can free yourself from the operations, empower the people around you, the more likely you are to succeed.
I like that you have talked about mental work a lot, and I want you to touch on it because I think mental work is hectic. You can see a person just feel like, oh, this person has a lot of time and all that, but the things that are going through their head at the time. It reminded me of what you said regarding people who are doing manual labor, that they have less stress than people who have to actually think through strategies and the way it affects their lifestyle at the long run. So if a person wants to train themselves in that mental capacity, because I know we all don't have it, what would you say they should be looking out for in terms of research, in terms of the information they consume, and then how to translate that to help in their own business?
I love that question so much. I was just telling someone today that I'm most tired this month because it's been nothing but strategy, and it's exhausting. And you think that
it's harder to be out there on the field, but it's not. The mental capacity you expend when you're thinking of strategy and growth is on another level. But honestly, I would tell someone that they have to factor in rest. See, consuming all of that information, right, without the adequate rest, it literally leads to burnout. So for me, I find a subject matter, right? So if we're working on franchising, which we are, I'd read or consume a book or a paper or a document on it. As I'm consuming it, I literally have a journal or something next to me, and I'm writing down applicable things for my brand. So they're telling me franchise this way, and I'm writing down how it applies to ORIKI and how we're going to do it.
And how you can localize it to Nigeria.
Localize it here, localize it to my community. Then from there, I then put it into a strategy document. So this is our next steps. So it literally needs to be consuming information, because there's nothing you can't find out there on Google. Like you said, research books. Reading books is so empowering, enlightening. And then write down how it applies, the aspects that apply, the aspects that speak to me. Then I write down the strategy, meaning the steps we're going to take to get there. Even if the step is as mundane as we have to create a website, specifically feature the franchise, or we have to find a franchise director, or we need to create a doc, or we need to get consultants. Whatever it may be, you have to write down the steps to achieve. Most people, they stop at just the strategy, but then you cannot keep yourself accountable, or you cannot properly monitor and evaluate without writing the steps that you need to get to that overarching goal.
Strategy implementation plan.
Strategy implementation.
All right. You know, I mean, this is actually quite an interesting conversation. You know, the way you are sounding, I know why you have a spa, because you're sounding very calm, very relaxed and very structured.
Which is why
you know?
she has to massage.
You know. But I would like to also go back into your business, because you said again that at some point the customers or the business told you the next step and the next step and the next step. I see people a lot trying to do so many things all at the same time. Don't get me wrong, some of them have the capacity to start all at once. Do you advise that, you know, for the people that have the capacity to start all at once, to go in and, you know, move with or they still need to do a step by step and let the business tell them what the next move is about?
I am a member of the latter, right? I'll give you a real example. You said my business. We started off, and because of our space that we had, customers came in and said, oh, you have so much space, you need to open a hair salon. So since you have the spa upstairs, put a hair salon.
You're already selling hair.
I was selling hair before. So we listened to the customers and opened not just a hair salon, a barbershop in this same spa building. And all I could see was the salon was busy, but where was the money? It was not adding up. It was like we were expending on inventory. That was not what we were meant to do. I needed to focus on building the spa. So there's this saying that we all know, jack of all trades, master of none. I believe, so that wasn't what they needed. And I had to make a hard decision a year and a half in to close down the hair salon, and make those 2 extra rooms. And when I did, revenue skyrocketed again. So the point is, you have to allow the business to speak to you. A lot of times we feel like we should just completely do everything, all the ideas we have, or sometimes we're misled by what other people's opinions as well. But the business would naturally, you know, give you an idea of what the market is saying. So for us, it was on the trajectory of spa made sense. Spa had the best profit margins. I was not a hair salon, you know, guru. I could have learned, but that would have taken energy that I should have been putting into the spa side of things. So I honestly believe it's an assessment, right? And you also have to weigh out how much you're going to expend versus how much you're going to gain. And
Awesome.
Yeah. So,
you okay, quickly?
Yeah, I was just going to touch on one last thing, because you talked about the spa being an actual strategy to moving the products.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we've seen a huge proliferation in is in that space, the beauty space, all these products coming out, you know. I just want to quickly touch on that. In how do you guarantee quality? Because businesses as well, that's one place where they fall down. Like, I can define the document, but then how do I guarantee that that actually happens?
Quality of the product or
Service product.
Yeah.
customer experience. I should be asking. No, but it has to be a part of ingrained in your business. The whole idea of quality control. So we actually manufacture products. We have a manufacturing facility. There's an entire QC department there. I mean, products cannot go out unless they're tested, unless they follow the same procedure, every time. But from a customer service point of view, it's feedback, right? I need to be hearing from the customers. I can think that I'm the best thing ever, and because customers are coming in the door, we think we're doing okay. But are the same customers coming back? Loyalty. It's much easier to retain a customer than to acquire.
A new one.
Yeah, a new one. And that's how you should actually be, you should actually be gauging yourself. Is Uti coming back? After she comes again, and if she's not, I need to know why. So one thing about us is that we're so big on feedback.
Okay, I was going to come to feedback. Hold on.
We're so big.
We read something in the news today. 75% of women in Nigeria want to lighten their skin. ORIKI is not a skin lightening formulation. So you're saying listen to customer.
Yeah.
So you are not listening to that customer?
Look at her skin.
You see?
No, wait now. We are discussing. Because guess what? That's where the market is. I mean, I was showing Uti. Uti was saying that she went into a store and all she saw was lightening products. She was asking them, don't you have regular skincare products for me? 75% of women in Nigeria, in fact, if not more, so we were even saying that maybe that 75% is quite low.
90.
Yeah, it might be 90% of everybody wants to have a lighter skin. So how are you dealing with those? Because it is a huge problem. It's affecting products like yours in the market. So how are you dealing? How are you navigating that?
So I like that question because I've always said this from day one, that ORIKI might not just be for the Nigerian customer completely. So that's part of my planning. My planning from day one was export. My planning from day one was to say, we've built this proudly African brand out of Nigeria that competes in a global space. There are a lot of people, maybe not in Nigeria, that want this natural, but now we literally have distributors in 4 different countries, and we're moving our products, and we create spa grade, and we're on Amazon, we're doing different things, focusing on the outside space. Now there is a market, very slim, maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 25%, that do want to maintain and just glow their skin, and we speak to them. We speak to Skinfidence. We speak to just making your skin the best that it can be. But we realize that we're not going to be mainly for the Nigerian market, right? And thankfully, the spa buttresses that, right? The spa, the fact that our business is product and service, 2-prong model, we're still able to flourish and thrive.
Okay. Good friend, that's of time.
Everybody down to bleach.
Like, there's just no point.
I had a question, but we've run out of time, honestly. But I think we had a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much, Joycee. We really we hope to bring you back again. Honestly, it was a very good conversation. Too many questions that were just coming up. Thank you, Elsie Godwin. Thank you, Uti. All right, so before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagrams at PlusTvAfrica. You can drop a comment further and interact with us further. Drop your comments. Follow all our social media engagement. Share with your families and friends. And remember to let them watch the show as well. Don't watch alone. Share. All right, so if you missed today's quote, here it is again. If you have a great idea that can translate elsewhere, see what she said, she's targeting elsewhere, then that's where the scalability comes in, and that's where you can actually start to make real money. I mean, the quote just tied nicely. I will see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.